A general election means one thing. It's your chance to decide who you want as your Member of Parliament.
Like many people in this country, I don't feel inspired by any of the parties at this election, but I have an overwhelming sense that the country is in dire need of change. Unfortunately, we've been presented with more of the same from the Conservative Party and steady as she goes from Labour, with little to reassure me that a government led by Keir Starmer would tackle the challenges we face as a country, such as crumbling public services, growing inequality, the housing crisis, and a cost of living crisis caused by low wage growth and high inflation in recent times. In fact, both main parties are committed to spending plans that entail cuts to unprotected departments. In other words, a return to austerity under a Labour government. What is more, in my seat, my decent, hard-working MP, Lloyd Russell-Moyle, was prevented from standing by the Labour Party as an 8-year-old complaint led to his suspension just days before nomination papers had to be handed in. So in my seat, even if I wanted to vote Labour, I'd be voting for somebody parachuted in from London who is from the right of the party and so doesn't understand the scope and scale of the change we need. There are some things I like in the Labour manifesto. For example, the commitment to workers' rights is badly needed and must be implemented in full. And as a progressive, I accept that a bad Labour government is better than any Tory government. But I'm seriously worried that a Labour government that fails to address people's real material concerns will open the door to populists on the right. And let's be clear about what that means. Farage parades as a champion of the people, but his agenda is the same as that of Liz Truss. He's an extreme Thatcherite, who would implement policies that are the opposite of what those who might vote for him badly need. But his popularity is growing precisely because he is seen by many as someone who says it how it is, and who flies in the face of establishment opinion, even though, of course, Farage comes from an establishment background himself and would represent their interests in Parliament by advocating for policies such as cutting their taxes and privatising services such as the National Health Service, which the rest of us badly need. I don't think there is a perfect political choice at this election, and I can see why people are alienated from politics as a result. Apathy isn't something we should deplore, it's a justified feeling from many people who are fed up of being presented with more of the same by a political system that is structured to maintain the power of Labour and the Conservative parties. Personally, since I can't vote Labour, and I want bold and progressive change, I'll be voting Green. It doesn't mean I agree with everything they say, and it's not a suggestion to anybody else about how they should vote. We all have our own values and we'll make our own choices. But I would say this: don't allow the political system to force you to make an unpalatable choice at this election. We're only going to get a different politics if we start to vote for it, ignoring those who argue that we must vote tactically. But simply voting isn't enough. Politics isn't really about what happens in Westminster, what happens in Parliament. It's about what happens in people's lives, in their workplaces and in their communities. That's why I'm active in the trade union movement personally, because it is where working people can build power and fight for change. So you might want to think about how you can get more involved in making change happen in your community, because it is this grassroots activity that is where change really comes from. That's all for me for this election. Sorry for having a bit of a rant in this video. Best wishes and goodbye for now.